Hey there, Ben. Hope you're having a great day today. Had a chance to look at your video submission you sent to me over the weekend. Great playing on there. I'll talk about I'll talk about it in just a second. As far I got your email about getting the Ibanez, so good job on that. I think the single coil neck position right here is going to be very nice. If you want to sound closer to that artist that you sent over to me, an overdrive pedal will do. Boss, the Boss SD1, OD1, the overdrive pedals through Boss, like they're like little yellow pedals. They're great. They make those as like a first pedal for people. It's like to get you get you into the brand. They're not making a huge amount of profit off of those things, I imagine. They're probably making them at cost because when I look online, they're like 40, 50, 60 bucks. That's probably what it costs to make these things. They're great. They're built like tanks. That's what I would go with if you want to get close to that sound. So get the you got the guitar. Orange Crush is a great amp to start with without breaking the bank. Unless you want to break the bank, then we can talk about that. And then it's a Boss overdrive pedal and dial back real low. And then that's kind of that sound right there. To go over your back, your jam over your backtrack, great job. It sounds like you're thinking more about overall arching phrasing rather than just what I call stream of consciousness playing. I read the notes that you sent over. You're gonna wanna stay with the boxes. The reason why is because I could do there's one of two things that we could do. One is, hey dude, here's a guitar, here are all the notes across, here's a map of the entire fretboard on a diagram with all the dots, right? Here you go, memorize that. But that's not how our brains work, right? If I just handed you 6 times 22 is a big number, that's a couple hundred notes, you can memorize that. Right, you would get frustrated very quickly, and all you're going to do is what I call hunt and peck, and that's what I always try to avoid in these sorts of teaching people is don't hunt and peck. You have to have it mapped out, right? Why is your phone number written out in 3 sections? Is because if you handed someone, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? If I handed someone 10 digits, quickly memorize the 10 digits, right? No breaks in it all. It'd be like me getting my UPS tracking code, and I'm like, But if they put a hyphen in between, like your phone number, it's easier to chunk that information and to remember it. That's the point of learning all 5 boxes and why you don't learn all 5 boxes in one sitting. Because if you go that route, you won't be able to use is what I call, I think I mentioned this last time, it's called declarative knowledge versus procedural knowledge. You'll flashcard know what notes are okay, but you won't be able to use them for anything, or it won't be comfortable enough for you to create with it. To be able to create with something with music, you have to go through certain steps. So you have to first learn the pattern, right? You have to learn the box. And then you have to experiment with box, and then that box becomes, after you do that enough times, becomes part of your playing, right? If I just said to you, hey, every week we're gonna do a new box, and in 5 weeks you're gonna do all 5 boxes, you might know them flashcard knowledge, and you might struggle to get through them all. Like you'll be able to kind of like zigzag through them. But if I say, okay, man, let's jam on them, it would sound like nothing. It would sound like just randomness because you don't know them well enough to create with them. Right? Part of what my job is, my pick one somewhere. Oh, there it is. Part of what my job is to gatekeep knowledge and to release that knowledge when the student is ready. If we get antsy, because when you were jamming in there, what had actually happened was you actually start using a different scale. You started using B minor pentatonic box 5 in your jam, and which is well enough because it works, but you don't know why it works. It just does, which is why people come see me, is because they want to know why it works. And we just haven't gotten to that one yet because it's just on the agenda. But if we get impatient and don't practice landing on certain notes, you're just going to be stuck where you are now, and it'll just be like, okay, you just know a couple more boxes, you just know that boxes exist, right? So your declarative knowledge will be better, like, hey, I know because Doug told me that there's boxes and I know boxes exist, and E minor pentatonic is just a set of notes, right? That's just like, that's what I call flashcard. It's just like the same if we just made like a deck of flashcards and just like, okay, which box is this, which box is this, which box is this? You'll know that they exist and you know what they look like, but you won't be able to create with them. And that's ultimately our goal, is not to assimilate as much knowledge as possible, but to learn a little bit of knowledge and to create with that knowledge. It's not how fast you can read the theory textbook, it's how well can you read a snippet or a little kernel of knowledge in the theory book and then create with it. And actually, to be honest, your best line in your solo, which was actually quite nice, by the way, it sounded like this. Oh, it was a little bit early. There it is, yeah. You landed on that G right there. You bent into the F sharp to the G. Now, I haven't given you the F sharp to the G yet, so the best moment in there was you actually landed on what I call a targeting note. It was the right one to land on that situation. But if I pull back and if I were to graph the whole snippet you sent me, that would be the exception, not the rule. So like your best line in there was following the rules, and the other stuff was great. Like it was sounded fine, but it wasn't landing on anything specific. It was just like landing on notes that like sounded good, but it wasn't like the target note, right? So any note could have been what you landed on, if that makes sense. Really what needs to happen is this. So this is what I hear before, something like this. See, those notes aren't wrong, and they sound fine to land on, but if I do, and I constantly reiterate that note, see, I landed on the E at the right moment on there. And it let my listener know, hey, this dude knows, this is all subconscious, like they're not thinking this like really, but like when you're listening to a jam band go and that guitarist hits that one note in the right spot, all right, and go, oh, that was it, man, that's by design. And those people don't just start magically doing that. Or if they do, they are like the 1 in a billion, right, that can just do that without thinking, right? The people who are really great at soloing spend a lot of time practicing landing on the right notes, and then not trying to cover the whole thing, but just staying in one spot. Okay, can I exhaust all my options in this spot right here? Can I do my sequences in one spot? So that would actually just be my straight up advice to you, is stick with the sequence patterns. Don't try to learn all 5 boxes in one go. Right? If you try to do that, you'll end up with 5 flashcards that you can kind of remember by sight a little bit, but you won't be able to create anything with that is meaningful to you. I had a guy come in once, and he's like, dude, I just want to be here for a couple months, and you just fill me up, give me as much as you can in a couple months, and then I'm out, right? And I did that. And he left, and he messaged me back and was like, dude, I'm kind of lost. Like, I feel like there's like all this, I got all this stuff from you, and I know it exists, but it's like unwieldy. It's like just, it's too much, right? You know, if you can't write a solo in one box over here, and you know, Wish You Were Here is written, David Gilmour, master soloist in blues rock style. Over top of that chord that he's playing, at the very end, that's the target note. Or say like he's aiming for that note. Like the whole thing starts on a D. He's outlining a D chord there. He basically made a big circle in terms of notes. Like he started on a D chord. His solo was this. So he basically did a big, there was his start, and there was his end, and it was the same note. He had a beginning, a destination to land on, or a place to visit, and then a destination at the very end. That's what we're learning here is, can you find the destination notes, and can you hear them, and can you create with them? So that would be my advice to you, is avoid the noodling and stick more with the rules. As uncomfortable as it might be, to stick with the rules because you're so used to just skating, but you got to put yourself in a small box because that's how you're going to write good melodies. So think about that this week with your solos. Stick more with sequences. Repeat yourself. Have more time in between. Where I'm still hearing some ums in there. Say like this, like nervous vibrato. Not nervous vibrato, but you know what I mean. I guess. Let me lock my phone. There you go. So this, one take. Right, less of that kind of stuff and more of this. Right there, like I'm using ease as the framework. Like I mean, while soloing there, I've done this enough that every single time I'm landing and stopping, I know where the E is, stone cold, right? So that's my advice to you with your jam is be more structured, and because it is not stream of consciousness, it is structured consciousness. All right, man. Let me know if you have any other questions, and if not, I will see you next week.